Hi, welcome to our series on why hire part-time. I'm Linda Guild, and I'm the CEO of the Talented Alliance of Part-Time Professionals.
And I'm Tanya Gomes, and I'm the Director of Communications and Client Relations for TAP.
So today's topic is why hire part-time, and we wanted to start with the retail sector because oftentimes people think about, when they think part-time, they often think of retail because retail has a ton, whether it's seasonal or full-time, when I say full-time, I mean long-term employees. Tanya, I know you used to work for Starbucks.
Yep.
And so I thought this would be a great conversation to have with you because you know a lot about why does an organization like Starbucks hire part-time and how does it fit into their structure?
Thank you, Linda. One of the reasons actually that Starbucks hires part-time and full-time, people think that not only is it a great company, but it's actually known for giving a lot of benefits to part-time employees. So they really do value that part-time employee, and the training isn't any different for any of the baristas, and we try to treat everybody the same throughout because we know that level of professionalism really is integral to our team. But oftentimes you have scheduling issues sometimes. So there are gaps in scheduling and also in personalities. It takes a much different person in the morning who can handle a very long line of customers and if there's a problem versus somebody in the afternoon where it's slower and they have time to converse. Both people have to be very customer service focused, but then you also have to balance that task focus. So when I hire, I try to hire for sometimes that skill that I need, and it's part-time, so they fit.
And the stores that you manage, to put in perspective for people that may not really pay attention to the type of hours that a Starbucks is open, what were the typical hours that you were hiring for?
So we would have a lot of gaps throughout the day, and sometimes it was just like those super busy. So a 7 to 1 or 1 to 5. So as soon as somebody leaves, somebody has to take their place, and sometimes you need an overlap. There would be times that somebody's schedule is like, all right, I have to leave at 1, and then the other person couldn't come in till 2. What happens with that 1 hour gap? So we would hire for all throughout, and then there were some people with availabilities that actually was like, I'm mom, I need to work after I drop the kids off at school, or I'm a part-time student and I'm available these hours that I have trying to balance working and going to school and time to study.
And the store was often open from 6 in the morning until 9 at night?
Actually, it was more open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. So you have a much bigger gap as well. So 7 days a week, including holidays. The only day we were closed was Christmas.
Wow. So a lot of hours to fill. And in your experience, when someone was hired part-time, did they often only stay 6 months? Did you see people that came for the summer and then came back the next summer? Kind of, what did you see? Were there any patterns with your hiring and what you saw?
So for us personally, we had a policy at Starbucks that you don't hire temporary or seasonal. It was actually very expensive.
Okay.
For the company, for the amount of time that we would invest in hiring and training and then getting some of those things, we would actually want the long-term part-time person. So you would find somebody that had that time in the scheduling, and we would actually ask that if you had to change your schedule, you'd make that commitment for 6 months. So for students, it was awesome. They knew that, okay, come next semester, I'm going to have a different schedule. So here's here's what it is. So it gave us stability and it gave them stability as well. So the seasonal, we like the long term because then you grow and develop as a partner. You get to know the other partners, you get to know your customers, and those kinds of relationships and how you work together as a team is very, very important.
And I think you were part-time and then you moved up into full-time and moved up the ranks,
yep,
correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And they afforded that opportunity that I decided that this was a position that I wanted to stay with, this was a company I wanted to stay with, and then I was able to move up. And then when I decided I didn't want to be there anymore, but stepped back, I was able to step back down to part-time.
So I'm hearing that there's some of the advantages, just to recap a little bit, there's advantages that a part-time person is being trained at the same level as a full-time person. They're not taking the place of a full-time person, and in fact, they're augmenting or, in one of the things we like to use, saying filling the gaps in the scheduling, and as well as you said, personality.
Yes.
That long-term creates stability, it creates consistency, and there is fluidity, meaning that they can be part-time, go up to full-time, and back down to part-time. So the company is able to tap into that resource and grow someone that, you use the example of students, but I'm sure it goes on the other side of someone that may be, nearing retirement and wants to stay social and be engaged and has some great customer service skills, knows how to handle that cranky 6 a.m. customer.
Mm-hmm.
So you can really kind of go both ways. I'm hearing a lot of real benefits for the company. Were they also, did you ever see part-time that was above a barista?
No, that was always the level that they decided to keep. We did have some part-time shift supervisors,
Okay.
which were key holders. So they were paid a little bit, but those were the only two actual part-time. So you did have a little bit of flexibility, but we also asked our key holders to work a minimum amount of hours because the key holder has to be there. Somebody has to be there before you open, so 30 minutes before and then 30 minutes after. So actually our scheduling always started at 4:30 a.m. and ended at 11:30 p.m.
So explain what it, for those of us, like someone like me, that if I hadn't talked to you, I wouldn't really know what a key holder was or what a shift supervisor is and how that's different from a manager of a store or assistant manager. Because again, some of us coming from the office side may not really understand that.
Right, of course. We always had a key holder, so that's the person in charge that would basically be the manager on duty.
Mm-hmm.
They're also the person who is in charge of health and safety standards. They were the ones who would also, as well as the manager and assistant manager, have to take all of the extra courses. So they were trained as a full, if they wanted to, easily management and level above, and they had those tasks and those responsibilities and were paid at a higher level, but we trusted them to run the store in my absence. So I'm only there as a store manager 8 hours a day, so the rest of the time I think we decided it was 16, 17 hours a day extra that they have to be there. They're the ones in charge. Yes, I'm a phone call away, but I trust them to make those decisions and create that team. When I'm not there, that's who's speaking for me.
So Starbucks has done some interesting things that, again, they're not using part-time as a way not to offer benefits. They're not using it as a way to avoid fully training someone, but they are using it to be a full member of the team. So this has been terrific. So thank you for taking the time to talk about why hire part-time and in the retail business.